That's what he said with Cedric D. Sanders.
100% real, raw, and uncut. Deadass.
Hello, my name is Cedric, and along with my beautiful wife, Connie, we'll be hosting my brand new podcast, That's What I Said. I'm a retired Navy veteran that suffers from PTSD and anxiety, and we'll discuss how I cope with the mental illness through comedy and discussion. It's a podcast that will talk about everything from cryptocurrency to comedy. If we're worrying about the dollar going up and down, up and down, up and down, and it's still a dollar, guess what? The value of that means absolutely nothing. Cryptocurrency in itself is the future of money. From spirituality to cannabis. To have cannabis on the Schedule 1 list is bullshit. I'm sorry, it is. It makes absolutely no sense. If it's a seed that can be planted and it has healing properties in it, why the hell is it in Schedule 1? Last time I checked, cocaine don't have healing property in it. From interracial relationships, I don't have a problem with people talking about interracial relationships. People try to talk bad about my interracial relationship just to think that they can get under my skin. I mean, really, it don't bother me. I mean, let's not make, call a spade a spade. But if you have a problem with someone that's in love, it shouldn't matter the race of the person. It's a mental illness in our community. The problem is people want to put labels on it. Everybody wants to put color on everything. And as soon as you put color on it, it gets treated differently. The money gets treated funny. Because if it's dealing with Asians, guess what? It's going to take a longer process unless those leaders step up and get into the president's face or U.S. leaders' face and say, this is a problem in our community. Not leaving one topic unturned. If you want to hear real, authentic conversation, interviews, and comedy, please take time to listen to That's What I Said, because I said what I said.
Giving you 100% authentic, real, raw, unapologetic truth with no filter. Listen to That's What I Said. Available on your favorite podcast platform.
That's what he said with Cedric D. Sanders.
Welcome to another episode of That's What I Said with Cedric Sanders. Giving you 100% authentic, real, raw, unapologetic truth with no filters. This broadcast starts now.
What up? What's good, everybody? Thanks for tapping in and tuning in with us. It's Tuesday. We are live and direct. Studio B. But that's what I said.
Yep, we back. Had to take a little break. We had to take a little break. We went out of town and came back, and I think we still kind of jet lagged.
Yeah, today definitely was a rest and recovery day.
Yeah.
Definitely was a rest and recovery day. Didn't really do much. Just kind of lounged.
Yeah, for the most part. That's what I did. But thanks for tapping in as always, y'all. It is was good. My one of my favorite pastors out there, Mr. Best.
Mr. Best, thank you for tapping in with us. Appreciate the love.
So we went to Kentucky for the weekend, or I should say the last part of last week into the weekend. came back home. So we weren't home during the tropical,
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, whatever you want to call that thing. But my mom stayed here at the house, and she, I called to get updates, and she was like, "Oh, everything's fine. It's raining,
Just drizzling.
Yeah, it's drizzling. It's just spitting water outside." So it was good to know that we didn't sustain any damage or anything else like that. But I think it's just weird. This weather is just weird.
Yeah, the weather is definitely becoming far more interesting these last few weeks, or last few months, I should say.
Yeah, it's
out of control.
It is. It's really. It's got to the point where it. I don't know. I can't call it. It's definitely weird out here on the East Coast. And I said that when we was living on the West Coast. I said, "Oh, the weather's weird." So I guess the weather is just weathering at this point. I mean, it's we had our fair share of summer. I'm sure Dallas, Texas is or anywhere in Texas is tired of summer, because summer was definitely summering, and the devil was definitely talking a lot, spraying his hot breath everywhere in Texas. So I'm sure that that it's turning into fall and everything is cooling off. Things are somewhat getting better. At least we hope, anyway.
Right.
So tonight's topic is going down the train of current events. The last couple of podcasts have been in the realm of what's been going on currently, and I decided to do the same thing tonight. So for those that haven't been paying attention, and a lot of people don't pay attention to the news because really it doesn't really affect them, and it affects a lot of us in different ways. And this Sunday, if Congress doesn't get their act together, it's going to affect 4 million federal workers, and I didn't get the exact number of veterans it's going to affect, but I know it affects payments of over $6 billion. This government shutdown. And everybody, I know a lot of people will be like, it doesn't really affect me, blah, blah, blah. So what kind of thing. But
in one way, shape, or form, it's going to affect you.
It's going to affect everybody.
Like, if they say that's not going to affect them, in one way, shape, or form, it will.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily affect the postal workers, because they deal with payments on a different scale. What's good? Mr. Banks in the building, Carla City. It affects people differently. I mean, even if you don't have a federal job, it affects people differently.
Correct.
People, post office workers. It doesn't really affect them. They have their own pool of money that they can, touch on.
Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid doesn't affect them because they have a different pot of money,
right?
As well.
But all of these are federal,
right?
Federally establishments or
regulated establishments,
or federally regulated establishments, or have some type of federal funding going into them. So, SNAP, WIC, TANF, those different types of funds are federal funds, but they will not actually affect them initially. It affects the military, because a lot of people don't realize, and it was a great question that was in the comments from Mr. Banks. Why do they have to? Why do we have to keep going through this shutdown stuff every year? And it's not done. They don't do the budget by calendar year, so they don't wait until December to do the budget for January, or November until January, whatever. It's peace and love, Lisa in the building. What they do is, which is weird, is it's a fiscal year, and the fiscal year starts in October. So October 1st is the first quarter of the fiscal year. And the first quarter is October, November, December. Then you got second quarter, which starts in January. which is the new year, but it's second quarter of that fiscal year. And people say, well, why do they do that? Well, the reason why they do that is because that's just what they do. It's a fiscal thing that it helps them close out the year, but really kind of start off the year in a positive note if they have the budget and everything going correctly. When you go into January, you already have your budget going. You're going in the second quarter. So you kind of just close out the year in a new fiscal budget that helps companies or businesses, the military, whatever it is, go through and get ready to close out the year to start the new year. I mean, they still operate on the new year, but fiscally, money-wise, first quarter starts October 1st. And the reason why this keeps happening every year is because they take that shit for granted. Why? Because the Constitution, what's the word that the Constitution does for Congress or all the all the people that...
Yeah, so Senate and Congress and all the people that are the lawmakers and stuff, they are considered enshrined by the Constitution, and they will get paid. All the rest of the government employees will not. Now, this will not affect your October 1st paycheck. However, in 2 weeks, on the 13th, yeah, you won't get one.
So this affects me directly because I'm a veteran, and veterans receive their money federally, and it affects $6 billion. So November's disability payments may not happen if this shutdown goes long. It affects federal workers that receive federal funding that they consider non-mission essential. Now, the military, which is my wife.
I get affected twice.
That's true. Because she's a veteran and she works for the government.
Yep.
Federally. So it affects different people in different ways. And in the ways that it affects people is astonishing. It doesn't affect Congress and it doesn't affect those lawmakers because they're enshrined by the Constitution by law to do their job, and they get paid to do their job. Well, they're not doing their job if they're not paying the federal workers that support them, vote for them, put them in office and everything, and do these, exactly. It's just a bunch of BS. It just puts people in a worse situation financially because I don't care how you look at it. You can look and do your own research, but people that are making $50,000 to $100,000 a year are still living paycheck to paycheck.
Right, exactly.
Some people can say that they're not. Some people can say that they're not because they don't live beyond their means, but you're still living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, and all this inflation and stuff that has just gone on, and they keep raising the...
They keep raising the inflation, and just like Lisa said, they don't care because they getting paid. They don't care about everybody else. Oh, guess who directly gets affected but still has to go to work? The military. Guess who else directly gets affected but still has to go to work? Air traffic controllers.
Law enforcement.
Medical. All these people that receive federal funding still have to go to work because they have to perform life-saving tasks.
Right. Exactly.
And they are mission essential, but they are not essential enough for us to pay them. That's crap. Or I shouldn't say us because I'm not part of that equation that says you should get paid. It shouldn't be a no-brainer. We should have the budget done in July.
Yes.
They should have the budget in July. Yes. So they're volunteering at this point. Yeah, exactly.
And it's not really a volunteering. It's they're going in to do their job without a paycheck.
Absolutely. And it's sad. And
because that's their job.
The sad part about it is the veterans that served their country, that did 20 years, that sacrificed all these things, that come home to a country. And I shouldn't say come home because basically you're not coming home because your home doesn't treat you like you're welcome. We still fight for all these benefits. And guess what?
Yes.
We don't even get them.
Right.
After 2 weeks of going into this shutdown, the VA has no funds. They basically can't operate.
Yep.
And they just basically they basically laid off 7,800 veteran benefit administration employees after they approved for them to do, overtime because they fell behind on doing claims.
Yeah.
So it's like now the government shut down. It's like, oh, we ain't gonna pay you, but we still gonna authorize your overtime, so you still gonna stay late, but you're not getting paid. I mean, it's a lot of things that make no sense that we as taxpayers and as voters continuously vote people in the office, yet we're not putting our voice in the right spots so that people can hear us. It may be constitutionally binding that, yes, we pay the people we vote in office that write these laws so that we can have a better life, to do the things that we're supposed to do as citizens of this country. Yeah. And they completely just bend over and just don't care about us. They really don't. And just like Mr. Banks has said, he said it's just basically the Crips and Bloods. It's the rich side of the Crips and Bloods. They fighting against each other. They can't come up with an actual budget that's going to take us into the next fiscal year, which would be October of 2024 or September 30th of 2024. They can't come out with a budget for that. So basically we sit on our hands and pray and hope and, you pray to Allah, you pray to Jesus, whatever your denomination of religion is, right, whether you have one or not, and you just hope that they come with something sensible so that this is not part of the conversation, because this is affecting 4 million federal workers.
Right.
My wife included.
Yep. So the funny thing about all of this is that if they pass this budget, which I'm certain that they will, because they always do, if we are furloughed for a short period of time, we will get that money back.
Yeah, you'll get back pay.
So that's a good thing. However, we as a government have been funded by a continuing resolution for at least the last 10 years.
Everything's been a continued resolution.
We have not been running on regular funding. It's been on a continuing resolution of payment.
And I don't think people realize that. Even this current cycle that we're on, where we almost got shut down, it's a continued resolution. And then it was something that was going to cause a shutdown in the summertime, and they did another continued resolution until September 30th.
Yep.
So it makes us realize that a lot of this that we're dealing with and a lot of this that we're putting ourselves through is the systematic, and I hate to say this, systematic programming that they constantly put us in, so that you have to work a 9 to 5 regardless. You have to get a 401k, which I think is the worst program that they ever could have came out with. I'm not going to go there because that's a financial breakdown that I will have to do. Yeah, they keep putting Band-Aids on it. And the sad part about it is the fact that they keep putting Band-Aids on it is not healing the wound.
No.
They keep putting a Band-Aid on there and they rip it off, and guess what? It ain't healed. Yeah. So what they do, put some more Neosporin on there and put another Band-Aid on and say, we'll check in 6 months.
Yeah, because I don't know if y'all remember, but probably about 4 months ago or so, maybe 5 months ago, we talked about the debt of the government and stuff. Yeah, we're over $1 trillion in debt.
Hell, keep talking. Let me pull that up.
Just bear with me on this.
I'll pull it up.
I'm astonished at the number. And it just continues to increase and increase and increase. So we're over $1 trillion in debt as a country. As a country.
33 trillion.
Oh my God. $33 trillion in debt for the U.S. national debt. That's disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting.
I'm gonna get my production down, but right now you getting the ghetto version. I have to hop seats. The U.S. national debt is at 33 trillion and climbing. You can go to usdebtclock.org. No, I'm not sponsored or anything. It's just a website that I go to check on the debt. But the spending, the U.S. federal spending, actual spending is at 6 trillion. Okay? The U.S. national debt is at 33 trillion.
And you see the federal tax reserve. Yeah, this is where they're getting us on the federal tax rate hikes, where they keep implementing, 0.25 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they've done it to us 4 times this year. Just this year. 4 times.
So the painful thing about this is that
it's disgusting.
The higher the national debt goes up, the more money that they have to pay back, the more money they have to create to still fund the programs that they approve to keep the citizens of America happy. The problem with this whole problem and this whole situation is that you can't keep something going if you keep stopping it. You can't keep stopping it and putting Band-Aids on it and think that it's supposed to keep going to help you pay your bills off. How are you going to pay your bills off when you keep shutting down the very program that's supposed to help you pay your bills?
Right. I was just going to say, a lot of our bank accounts are in the red because of this very thing.
Yeah.
Because of this very thing, a lot of the average Americans' bank accounts are in the red or very close to the red because of this.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this arrogantly, and I'm not arrogant whatsoever, and I don't feed into my ego, but y'all going to think I'm in my ego when I say this. Y'all going to reference this podcast or this video when banks start shutting down. Y'all going to reference this video and this podcast when banks start shutting down and they tell you you have no money in the bank. When I've been trying to tell people, when you get paid, the nature of you getting paid is not to be paying everybody else. You know what the debt per citizen in the United States is? Just the debt of one citizen. We can go to the debt of a taxpayer. The debt of one citizen, one U.S. citizen, is $98,000. That's the average. The debt per taxpayer, $255,000. You realize when you buy a house, you're still in debt, right? You know when you buy a car, if you ain't bought it cash and you have to go to the bank and get a loan for it, that's debt. You realize that, right?
If you don't, you better.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to sit here and say that, the credit bureau is a scam. You're absolutely right, it's a scam. But what have I been saying for the last probably 5 or 6 years?
Take your money out the bank.
Take your money out the bank, make good investments, and stop putting stuff on credit, or stop getting loans for things. We don't, and as Americans, we're not taught that the houses that they're building, in our eyes, they look like they're $500,000. No, they're not. The cost of materials have went up to where now the cost of that house has went up. Houses were like $10, $15.
Right.
$100 back then. You get a deed, you sign your name, and that's it.
Z, what's good? I can't with you.
I keep it in my mattress and buy Jordans. Absolutely.
No, he's at $800 at Jordans. Nah.
You leave me whole $200 for the power bill. I mean,
and look at the student loan debt.
And well, yeah, let's do that. Where's the student loan debt?
So
you're pointing too far
sorry.
away.
In the unfunded debt interest group at the bottom. Where it has a little cap.
Yeah.
I'm
$1 trillion. Student loan debt, $1 trillion. Guess how much of that they paying when they was trying to forgive
None.
certain, student debt for people because of COVID and things of that, because of that nature. It would have helped Americans get out of debt. $1 trillion in just student debt alone. On top of the $33 trillion that the U.S. national debt ceiling is.
Now, in that, they're saying that one student is $41,000 in debt. One. Out of $1.8 trillion. And then they say that the credit card debt, $1.2 trillion.
I ain't gonna even go there. Credit card debt. All y'all people want to get all these credit cards and max them out just so you can have something nice. And then when you get paid, y'all wonder why y'all don't have no money. Yeah, exactly. The biggest bank is Starbucks.
$5 a damn coffee.
I mean,
every time.
It goes without saying, because there's savings and they tell you to put your money in the banks, but the interest rate in these banks don't give you anything. No. And I've said this podcast after podcast.
Penny.
You put your money in the bank. It's not even a penny. You put your money in the bank. You put $10,000 in the bank today. You go back
a year.
1 year. What's today's date? The 26th.
26th.
September 26th. You come back to the bank September 25th, which in all reality, that's a year. People don't tell you that, but it's actually a year. You come back September 25th of 2024, you will have $10,001.
That's it.
Because most banks are paying you 0.1% on interest. Exactly. People put more money on their Starbucks account and don't even get any money from it, but you constantly go into an establishment buying coffee where you could buy a Keurig and buy you some K-Pods and make your coffee, or you can go old school. What was old boy's name? Juan Valdez? He was smashing them Colombian coffee beans, and he was hauling them bags. It's like you sit there and grind your own coffee and make your own coffee, and you come out cheaper. But see, people want to live on luxury and what everybody else is doing, and this is what got us broke. Just living like everybody else and not understanding money.
Too far living, trying to be like the Joneses.
They holding $1.8 billion in pre-made coffee, pre-sold coffee. It's already bought.
It's disgusting.
You just rebuying it.
That is disgusting.
Y'all know that most of these coffee shops, all they do is flavor the coffee, not the bean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me stop.
Hey.
I drink decaf. I don't do caffeine no more. I'll be 50 this year. I started weaning myself off of caffeine, and I'm going to start weaning myself off a whole lot of other stuff. And Z know exactly what I'm talking about. It gets to this, and it's more for health, but a lot of it's financial as well. But your health is wealth.
Yeah, it affects the wealth.
It's like you could be the most wealthiest person in the world, but are you healthy? And yeah, health and wealth is two different things, but really, when are you going to combine the two so that you can have a conversation with your family? Everybody says it's, I'm not going to talk to my kids about religion or money because they're too young. Who told you that?
You got to start whenever you can.
Our kids
talk to them early.
Our kids get on the phone and say, I wish you would have told us this when we was younger.
Absolutely. My kids tell me that all the time.
Every time we get on the phone, I wish you would have told me this. And they're in their 20s. I wish you would have told me this earlier in life, because I would have had a head start when I was in high school. I would have been working. I would have been putting money in the bank, even though I wasn't making no interest off of it. At least I could have been stacking the money. And then when I had enough money, I could have opened a bank account that had a 3 or 4%, APR. Because of my credit score, because I wouldn't have been buying anything and putting anything on credit. I would have had a decent credit score, and I would have played the credit game, because you got to know how to play the credit game. Exactly. Now, Z has this. This is no lie. My brother Mario, when I was stationed in California with him, has this Tahoe. he has said this. I am not buying a new car. I do not want car payments. I want to be able to give my family the things that, I had to, my family had to struggle to have these things. We had it, but, I want to show my family, the better things in life.
Right.
I want to be able to, when they want to go somewhere, I want to be able to take them there. I don't never want to tell them no. I remember this conversation. Yeah, we was having a couple of beers when we had this conversation, but I remember this conversation distinctly. He was like, I am not buying a brand new car. If I have to buy one because, this car goes out or whatever like that, then that's what it is. But I'm going to pay cash for it.
And I'm not buying a brand new.
And I'm not buying it brand new.
Yep.
If I have to buy one, it's going to be one that I think is quality that's going to take care of my family and do what it needs to do. Exactly. It's going to ride till it blow up. That Tahoe is something else. I'm not lying. He's got an 07 white. That Tahoe, I ain't going to lie. That Tahoe is something else. But people won't get into an old vehicle. Me and my wife were sitting here arguing just not too long ago. Not even really arguing, but having a discussion of the next vehicle we're going to get. And people would think because, of our status, we would have two cars. No. Purposely don't have two cars. We had two cars. We actually had three cars. We was in Washington State.
I don't want another car payment.
Right.
I like Z. I don't want another car payment.
We don't want another car payment. And it's like, we're waiting until the very last whenever to make the decision to get a car. And we're going to buy it mostly cash. Our car payment is going to probably be right around $300-$400 for a $60,000 or $70,000 vehicle. You could do the math. I ain't doing it with you. You can do the math.
My math ain't mathing right now.
Well, yours ain't. I know what mine is.
So I just looked over at the debt clock, literally, and something stuck out to me. And it is the savings that per family has in their bank account. It says $13,999. That is per family. That's the average savings they have in their bank account.
That's the average savings, but guess what the total debt is on average? Personal debt. Like my debt and her debt. Not together, but individually. $73,000. But you got $13,000 in the bank. This is how they teaching us how to live.
That's dumb.
They teaching us how to use credit to have these things so that they can still have control. When you buy a house, that's control. That house don't belong to you unless you paid it off. That house belongs to the bank.
Yeah.
Let you miss one payment and tell me your relationship with your bank ain't gonna change. Miss one payment on your house and tell me.
Calling you.
Oh, they gonna call you.
They calling.
Oh, you thought your name, they gonna call you by your first name. Oh no, they calling you by your last name.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sanders, but it appears here that you haven't made your October payment. So when are we gonna get our funds? When the government turns the dang shutdown button on. When they turn the shutdown button off and the government start working, that's when you're gonna get funds. So are you gonna give me some type of, help, some leniency, some help because, I ain't never missed a payment? They ain't trying to hear that because they trying to make their money too. That's the reality of where we live at.
Right, exactly. Credit cards. Oh, they calling.
They calling.
One day late, they're calling you.
Back when COVID happened and people couldn't make these credit card payments,
my God.
Credit card companies had to basically write letters to government and say, we need to do something to help our citizens because they are not working because of COVID. They've been told to stay home, or they've been told to do this and they can't make the money that they've been making. Or some people that had jobs, they were forced out because of COVID, don't have those jobs no more. It's like, what are you doing to help them? And guess what? People are still recovering from that.
Still.
We might not have COVID. I mean, COVID might have transformed into something else right now and turned into, this awkward movie. Fluvid, whatever. It's Contagion 3. It's whatever it is. Whatever you want to look at it, that's exactly what COVID's going to do. But do you think they're going to do anything to help the citizens? No, because they're in debt.
Right.
They're in debt $33 trillion. How are they going to help us live a better life when they keep putting us deeper and deeper in debt by not helping us? They want us to pay higher taxes. They want us to pay all this interest rate on housing.
My gosh.
Don't buy a home now. This is the worst time ever to buy a home. Interest rates is like above 8% now. Don't buy a home.
It's insane.
People that want to sell their home, they run the risk of not being able to actually have someone buy their home because the interest rate for the value
of it.
Yeah, for the value of it. So it goes without saying that we are in the worst time period for this government shutdown to happen.
Absolutely.
It's like the government owes more money than a lot of Americans do, but these bill collectors keep calling us. When y'all gonna call the White House? Do the White House get bill collector calls?
Probably not.
We'd like to speak to the president. This is Capital One.
So it's funny you bring that up because right now there is a ticker that goes across the page that says U.S. federal debt to GOP ratio. 1960, it was 52.38%. In 1980, it was 34.67. That was the best time for the rate to be that low. Because in 2000, it went to 56.16. Today, as of today, that percentage is 122.6%. I'm sorry. That is absolutely ridiculous.
I'm not gonna say nothing because
I'm floored. It doubled from the rate in 60 and the rate in 2000. Doubled.
I'm gonna say this. I'm okay.
Whew, shoot.
As we take this conversation to the left, which we haven't yet, because just so you guys know, for the last 3 podcasts, I've had these tangents that I've introduced that we're going to the left. I have to get the button for it, and it's going to be a Beyonce to the left, because that's where the conversation is going to go. So
no, she might come sue you.
Yeah, you're right. I need to come up with something else. So I realized something, and I realized this actually months ago and just never really talked about it. And I briefly did, but never really got into it. And then when I do talk about other things related to what I'm about to talk about, very small group of people will listen to it or comment or say something about it, because we all know, I can only speak for my black people. Black people know everything. If I put a post, it's like, I know, you know, but you still one of these people that's mad because you got to get up in the morning to go work for somebody because they paying they bills before they pay you. All these businesses out here are set up in the same programming situation that everybody else is set up in.
Yep.
When they get their money, they get what's left over because they had to pay somebody first. Mm-hmm. Then they pay their upper people. They pay they pay the building that they're in, any other bills like lights and water and all that. And then what's left over is what you get.
Yeah, the residual.
Your salary. Because guess what? That's budgeted. Oh, yeah. Your salary's budgeted. I don't care who you work for. Your salary is budgeted.
And you better count how much you get, because you might be getting ripped off. Count your hours. Make sure they clocking and tabbing for every hour that you work. Because if not, you're getting shorted.
Since we're going left, let's sorry. Okay. I'm just playing that beginning part. Since we going down this rabbit hole, y'all realize this, that when, doesn't matter where you work, federally or not.
Yep.
Y'all know when you get paid, it is what they have to do. Mm-hmm. I'm speaking to black people, mainly. even white people can listen to this conversation, is a part of it. You know, they pay people by hours because it's a structured formula that they have to fit in. If they don't pay you by hourly, like salary, they pay you commission. They have to pay you because if they don't, it's considered slavery. So contractually, because believe it or not, your job is a contract. You fail that contract, they fire you. We have been so conditioned to believe that we have to work for somebody that the money that you can get as a business owner eliminates that whole equation. Because now you being the business owner, you pay who you want to pay. If you have a home-based business, you're already paying your bills, so you ain't paying nobody but yourself.
At least you should be.
Hello? If you own your own business and it's a home-based business, the only person you're paying is yourself. It's self-funded.
Are you listening, people?
Your passive income is slipping through your fingertips because we want to work for somebody else that's got to pay somebody else, that's got to pay a whole bunch of other people, that's got to pay somebody else before you get paid. But you, the hardest working, you're employee of the month, and you got to wait till the first to get your paycheck. I remember when I was growing up, we got paid every Friday. It wasn't none of this 2-week crap. Every Friday, we got a paycheck. Mm-hmm. Now they got it to the point now where they don't want to pay you every 2 weeks. Oh, now they got it to the point where they pay you once a month.
Yeah, in some instances.
You know, the one group of people that is not affected by this government shutdown is people that get Social Security.
Yeah. Everybody else affected. It's crazy.
In some form or fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to continue on in this conversation and beat a dead horse because y'all know where I'm going with this. I just want y'all to be aware that
this is the stuff that's happening in real time,
just like
right now.
Exactly. Just like Mr. Banks has said, you know, why did this happen every year around this time? Because we've been in continued resolution for the last year, 2 years.
Longer.
Yeah, it's been longer. It's probably about 6. Mm-hmm. Maybe. I can regulate at least 2 to 3. But, yeah, fact check. I just think that it's got to the point now where we really need to start as Americans, because we are Americans, regardless of how they racially put us up against the wall and want to diversify the way we are as people and always put us in some type of stereotypical loophole. They are controlling how we live our life based off of how we live our life. And I think we have to, as people that are on this planet and in this country, make stronger decisions on who we put in those seats that's supposed to be fighting for us. I wrote my congressman when I was dealing with my disability. Like, I was like, what's going on? It makes absolutely no sense how they treat veterans. And they responded quickly and was right there ready to work with me and told me straight up, if you don't hear from them in this time period, give us a call back and let us know. Like, I talked to the congressman on the phone. It works. You have to write letters. You have to get your congressman involved. If you vote them in office and people say, I don't vote. Well, that's your fault. That is your fault. You can't complain about not having money if you don't even pay attention to who's in office. There's a lot of people that sit there and say, I don't vote. Why don't you vote? Because they don't do nothing for us anyway. But you work a job, right? You pay taxes. You know those taxes go to their paychecks, right? So why ain't you voting? To To me, the dumbest conversation to have is with somebody that says they don't vote and the excuses they make up why they can't vote. Now, I understand why felons don't vote. Perfectly understand that. Like, perfectly understand that. But if you are an able-bodied American that can vote, what's preventing you from voting other than registering? You don't have to have a driver's license. All you gotta do is have an ID card. And it doesn't matter if your driver's license is revoked, you can still get an ID card.
So this is interesting. So during the last 15 fiscal years, which is from 1998 through 2012, Congress provided funding under a continuing resolution for an average of over 4 months. Mm-hmm. That's the period for which the continued appropriations were provided in 15 years, ranging from 21 to 365 days worth. I'm baffled. I really am. I'm baffled that the continuing resolutions started back in 1952 when they started already being in debt as a government.
So basically, they've been writing checks they ass can't cash.
Yep.
Well, anything for the people before we get up out of here? Because I ain't gonna talk about the government. Y'all know I don't do politics. I don't do the government. I just do off of what I know and what I experience, and that's it.
The only thing I have is peace and love. Thanks everybody for always tapping in, tuning in, sharing, liking, loving, supporting us every week that we come on. Truly, truly appreciate it. Make sure you go to the That's What I Said page. Hit the like button. It takes you right to our YouTube page. It's in the description at the very top on the YouTube page, as well as our merch website. So go check us out. Again, thanks for tapping in, tuning in. Peace and love.
All right. So, as always, with that being said, y'all, we out of here. Just like Connie said, I appreciate you, Pastor Best. I really do. I appreciate everybody that took the time to listen on Facebook and YouTube. Please make sure that you take the opportunity and time to go to Spreaker.com and download the podcast app and listen to the podcast. I appreciate the love y'all give us on the video, but we really need y'all support and listening to the podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, type in That's What I Said and listen to the podcast. I listened to like 4 podcasts while we was in Kentucky. Yes, I listened to my stuff. I listened to it. I love y'all to life. Lisa, I can't wait till November. Everybody that tapped in and tuned in, thanks, even if it was for 5 minutes. I appreciate it. And we're going to see y'all on Saturday with something hype, something probably that's going to light fire into y'all. We're going to have to get this money right. So I'm going to bring back some of these money conversations because we need it. So peace and love to y'all. We out of here. Peace.
Thanks for listening to another episode of That's What I Said with Cedric Sanders. Make sure to like and subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode.
That's what he said with Cedric D. Sanders.